What's up, guys? This is Endymion from TeamDBZ Biscuit, and today we're coming at you with a odd odds Endymion deck profile. So let's jump into this deck profile and let's see what we're coming at you with. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure, if you're new to the channel, to hit the subscribe button. That'd be much appreciated. Also, too, be sure to leave a like and a comment. That way we know what feedback you got from us, guys. So let's jump into this. Let's see what we're coming at you with. To start things off, we're running 3 Odd Eyes Art Pendulum Dragon. This card is very good, very useful for the Odd Eyes engine. It's just going to be the main Odd Eyes that you want to see. It's going to help you to get all the plays going the way you want to when it's in the pin scale. If one of your Odd Eyes is destroyed, to be able to special summon from your hand, deck, or graveyard is very, very useful and just keeps your opponent really off guard with the plays that you're making. I'm running 1 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. This card is, the very iconic card for Odd Eyes. You want to be able to get it on the field, be able to do that, extra damage to your opponent. If push comes to shove, you can put it in the pin scale, let it blow up at the end phase, and get a search for 1500 lower attack point monster. Usually, what I like to do is if I put that in the pin scale, I like to search out the servant, and that's going to help me get the plays going the way I want to. Also running 1 Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon. This is just to be able to make sure that we can do massive damage to your opponent. If this card's in the pin scale, it's going to give any of your monsters a 1200 attack point boost, which is very, very useful. It can help do a lot of damage to your opponent. Also, too, if it's Pendulum Summon, to be able to, depending on the number of Odd Eyes Pendulum monsters you have in your pin scales, it can do 1200 damage per. So if you got 2 Odd Eyes in the pin scale, you can do 24 damage if it does damage to your opponent. If you have only 1, you're going to do 1200 damage, but that's very useful and can really put the damper on your opponent's plays. We're also running 2 Odd Eyes Persona Dragon. This card is just very good, being 1, a low scale. Also, 2, its main monster effect. Just whenever it's on the field, your opponent, whenever they try to activate their extra deck monster effects, to be able to negate those effects, it's very useful. If you have 2 of these out on the field at one time, you can get each of them to activate their effect, even though it says it's only once per turn per card, not once per turn per Persona Dragon. So that can be very useful, help you with a lot of your plays. Also running 1 Perform Power Odd Eyes Dissolver. This card really helps you when it gets to making your Odd Eyes plays. You want to go into your Vortex Dragon. Your Vortex Dragon being properly summoned can be coming back from your graveyard with your Odd Eyes Art Pendulum Dragon. Really can set up a loop that can really put your opponent in a very bad game state. We're also running 3 Servant of Endymion and the 1 Endymion Mighty Master. This is just a very good go-to engine right now for any pendulum deck. Get Servant of Endymion in your pin scale, just being able to load it up with counters, send those counters to the graveyard, being able to special summon any monster from out of your deck that has could be put counters on is very useful. The Mighty Master itself, just in the pin scale, if you have 6 counters anywhere on the field, remove 6 counters, special summon him, and just pretty much wipe your opponent's board. That's pretty much what he does. Also, too, as long as he's got a counter on him, he's not targeted, that's very useful. And if he is destroyed, usually it's going to be by battle. You get to search out any normal spell card in your deck to your hand. It's just a very, very good engine. Like I said, Bowman and Vegeta, they're a great team together. I'm also running 1 Mythical Beast Master Cerberus, 1 Mythical Beast Jackal King, and 1 Mythical Beast Garuda. Master Cerberus is just good for making sure you got that good spot removal. It removes 4 counters on the field. It just helps you to banish out any of your problematic monsters that your opponent might have and just gain those attack points. Very, very useful. Also, too, when he's in the pin scale, you can blow him up as long as there's no other cards in the pin scale and get a free search for 1 of your Mythical Beast cards. Very good. Mythical Beast Jackal King, very good card. You want him almost in a staple with any deck that has a Endymion in it, because whenever he comes to the field, for every counter that he's going to have on, for 2 counters that he has on him, you can remove 2 counters, negate a monster effect. Very useful. If he's in the pin scale with no other monsters in the pin scale, it's going to allow you to be able to special summon 1 of your Mythical Beast monsters from out of the extra deck, so that can be very helpful too. Mythical Beast Garuda is just a good MST. It's like a Archfiend Eccentric almost if you have no monsters in your pin scale. But the main effect that I like to use is usually if I have my board set up with my Jackal King already on the field, when I go into the Electrum play, I'll send this to the extra deck from Electrum effect, pop a card, add this to hand, and because, you know, Jackal King's gonna have so many counters on him, whenever your opponent decides to special summon a monster, you can bounce all those cards that are special summoned at one time, back to hand, special summon this. It's very, very useful play. It's almost like a hand trap, and it helps out with a lot of the plays that you want to make. I also running 3 Chronograph Sorcerer and the 1 Time Gazer. This is just another good little starter engine. Chronograph Sorcerer, anytime a card is popped on the field, you can allow it to be able to special summon him. Also on top of that, he can special summon another card, a monster in the hand, which is very useful. If he's in the pin scale, to be able to pop him and be able to special summon your Time Gazer is very good. Time Gazer in itself, a lot of people don't like him, but the fact is that when he's on the field, he can protect your servant in the pin scale and any of your other scales at least one time. And that can be very useful, making sure your opponent, you know, has to be able to find a way to play around your pin scales. And if you got this out there, you're going to be able to make plays that you want to. And lastly, for the monsters, I'm running 3 Supreme King Darkworm and the 1 Gate Zero. This is just a nice little engine. I like it a lot. It's going to help you to be able to, just if you got Foolish Burial, Dragon Shrine, send it to the graveyard, special summon if you got no monsters on the field, very useful. Also too, if he's normal summon, you're going to be able to get your donut to the hand. You know, it's just going to be all around good. Just to be able to make the plays the way you want to, get them free pluses, and make your opponent just be able to start hitting them in the biscuit. But that's it for the monsters. For the spell cards, we're running 3 Allure Darkness. Allure Darkness is just a good card. Be able to make sure that you can just get to the resources you want to as fast as possible, and that's the main purpose of it. And also on top of that, being able to put on counters onto your servants, to your jackals, whatever you want to play. Same thing with the Upstart Goblin. Upstart Goblin is going to give your opponent that 1,000 attack, not attack point, a life point boost, and to be able to make sure that you can get that free draw and be able to put those free counters onto the spell counters that you want to. We're also running 3, in my opinion, like one of the best searchers in the game, Spiral Flame Strike. Be able to add any of your level 7 odd eyes to the hand is very useful. Also too, if you have odd eyes on the field already, to be able to pop a problematic card is very good too. We're also running 2 Duelist Alliance. Duelist Alliance for this deck is mainly to be able to get to the odd eyes cards as fast as possible. It's going to be help you to get to your Arc Pendulum or your Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and that's the main things you want to do. It's only once per turn effect, so you're only going to run 2 of these, and it's very useful for whenever you do see it. We're also running 3 Spell Power Mastery. This is a busted card for the Endymion engine to be able to get any of your Endymion cards to the hand. Also too, if you've used this card already, you got one in the graveyard in the next following turns, to be able to add counters per Spell Power Mastery in the graveyard plus this self for resolving is very, very good and helps, you know, get the pluses that you really want. I'm also running 1 Terraforming, 1 Set Rotation, 3 Sky Iris, and the 1 Dragon Ravine. This is a nice little package I like for being able to search out spell cards or field spell cards. Sky Iris is just going to be an all-around good card for odd eyes in general. It's going to protect your odd eyes in the pin scale. Also too, being able to pop a card on the field. Usually if you have 2 odd eyes in the pin scale, pop one of them. If one of them's Arc Pendulum effect's going to go off, so you're going to get special summon 1 and add 1, so that's very useful for the deck. You got Dragon Ravine that's going to be able to send cards to the graveyard. Usually going to be able to send you Darkworm, get your plays going for that. Set Rotation is just going to be another way to make sure that your opponent, they're going to have problems, because if you play this, give them the Sky Iris, play your Dragon Ravine, get your Darkworm in the graveyard, and then just get your play set up the way you want to. And usually I follow that up with a backup with Terraforming and search out the other Sky Iris that I need to get the plays to destroy the Dragon Ravine, play the Sky Iris, and just keep my ball rolling the way I want to. And lastly, for the spell cards, I'm running 1 Foolish Burial and 1 Dragon Shrine. I still like to run this at 1 and 1. Foolish Barrel to be able to send any of my cards to the graveyard that I want to. It's very, very useful. Usually I'm sending my Dark Worm, but I can send Odd Eyes cards, revive them back for the Arc Pendulum Dragon effect whenever Odd Eyes is destroyed. Also too, I'm running 1 Dragon Shrine just to be able to send the Dark Worms to the graveyard. A lot of times what I like to do is I'll send 1 Arc Pendulum to the graveyard, use the secondary effect to send another Dragon to the graveyard, and that's when I'll send the Dark Worm, and I'll set my plays up to be able to special summon the Dark Worm and do other things also with that. But that is it for the main deck. For the extra deck, I'm running 1 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, 1 Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, and 1 Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. This is just a nice little package I like to play in the extra deck as long as I can special summon any type of Odd Eyes. Odd Eyes Meteor Burst to be able to hate on your opponent's battle phase could be very, very useful. Also too, when you special summon, to be able to special summon 1 out of the Pendulum Zone helps you to set up a lot of your plays. Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, if you're playing Pendulums, most Pendulum decks are summoning this off Guard Dragons or anything else, but to be able to fusion summon this guy out and to be able to spend one of your opponent's face up attack points cards, very useful. Also to being able to spend one of your cards in your extra deck just dead back into the deck, make it relive, and then negate a card is very useful. Odd Eyes Absolute is just good for making sure that whenever you send to the graveyard, you can special summon either one of these from out of the extra deck. Also too, he can special summon if your opponent attacks, you can negate the attack. Being able to special summon Odd Eyes from out of the graveyard to the field is very, very useful, and it also negates that attack. Also running 1 Red Eyes Flare Metal. Flare Metal is just all around good for making sure you can do that extra burn damage. If you don't get the OTK, straight out with your opponent, you can use 2 level 7s going to this and make your opponent finish themselves off. We're also running 1 number 11 Big Eye. Big Eye is just all around good for making sure you can snatch steal your opponent's stuff, being able to steal their big monster they thought they had you with and they didn't. You stop them on their plays, going to 2 of your level 7s, going to this, and just end the game for them. I'm also running 1 Tornado Dragon just to be able to get rid of problematic back row cards. It happens sometimes, so going into this is not that big a deal. Going into it, prop that back row, and just get your plays going the way you want to. The same thing with the Bisque Dweller. Bisque Dweller, there's some decks that are still graveyard reliant, so to be able to get this card out there, stop all that hate from the opponent, and just hate on them for a little bit and make sure they stall their turn, can be what wins the game for you. I'm also running 1 Wee Wee Witch Apprentice, just a good card all around. You're going to have plenty of dark monsters that you can use this card with. Also too, when this card is destroyed, any dark monster in your graveyard, just spin it back, keep your plays going the way you want to. We got 1 Heavy Metal Fuzz Electromite. Electromite is just needed in every Pendulum deck. It's just been around, it'd be good to see this card come back to 2, but this card just be able to help to make all the plays happen for the deck the way you want to. I'm also running 1 Deco Talker. Deco Talker is just, to me, just all around good generic link monster to be able to increase his attack for every monster that points to one of his arrows. Also too, whenever your opponent decides to target one of your cards, to be able to tribute off one of the cards that's underneath him that's pointed to one of his pointers, could be very useful and negate that effect. I'm also running a Nightmare package and 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, and 1 Nightmare Unicorn. This is a very useful package, being able to make sure that the opponent, you got answers to whatever they might throw at you. Phoenix to be able to pop a card, Cerberus to be able to pop a face-up monster, and Unicorn just to be able to spin back any problematic card into the deck. Is very, very useful to you in what plays you got to make. I'm also running 1 Borlo Dragon. Borlo Dragon is just, it's stat steal. Once again, I like to snatch steal stuff. Also to be able to decrease your opponent's attack point monster is very useful by 500. That can be very helpful, and the fact that it can't be targeted helps out with a lot of plays that you want to make too. And lastly, for the extra deck, I'm running 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. This is just a very good card. Be able to make sure that you can play around, things like Nibiru is the main one. You want to make sure that you don't get Nibiru, so if your play is set up for you to be able to get this out there, put it out there, make sure your opponent, has major problems trying to get monster effects off on you, and you can just make the plays the way you want to. But that's it for the deck profile, guys. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to Gallic gun that like button, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks, guys, for all your love and support. We're out.